The question's been asked, what's the difference between tree surgery and tree lopping? Interesting question, because you'll find that for a lot of people, it's one and the same, and it's so different. It's chalk and cheese. It is absolutely different ends of the same scale. It really is different. Tree lopping is about trying to solve a human problem as quickly, efficiently, and cost effectively as possible. Now that's not wrong in itself, but the thing that loses is the tree. The item that loses, it's not the right word, item. The organism that loses is the tree, because the tree ends up getting butchered, so everyone sits back and says, "Oh, we've solved the problem." Often when I go to a job, I'll have a look at it and people sort of say, "Oh, the problem is I've got leaves. Oh, the problem is I've got no sunlight. Oh, the problem is I've got roots. Oh, the problem is I don't like the tree. Oh, the problem is..." And I'm thinking, how often is it the tree's problem, or is it your problem? Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to go and get psychological counselling about the effect of the tree on them. What I'm simply saying is that we need to have a look at trying to solve these problems in different ways rather than always reaching for the chainsaw. When it comes to tree lopping, the first thing you do is reach for the chainsaw. Then the second thing you do is reach for the checkbook. And so therefore, if there's a cause and effect, you've chopped these branches off, you've solved the problem, and then we can just now pay for it and move on our merry way. Again, the same sort of thing if we're looking at leaves in gutters and things like that. People often sort of say to me, "Oh, I've got leaves in my gutters and I can't clean them out, and it's causing me a great deal of problems." And I was saying, "Okay, that's fine. I understand you've got leaves in the gutters. So what tree do you think is causing it?" "Oh, it's this tree here because it's right next to me." And I was saying, "Okay, so you've got these leaves in your gutters." And occasionally I've been up there on a ladder and I've had a look at the leaves and I say, "Do you realise that the leaves that are in your gutter are predominantly from a tree that is not the one you're identifying? So it's not gum leaves in the tree, it's pine needles. And the pine needles are coming from next door or 3 doors down or something else. So it's not necessarily the first cause, the first tree that you see is causing the problem. Often you just need to identify it. Then the second thing is to simply sort of say, "Oh, we're going to cut this tree, we're going to stop leaves." Well, if in that case there, if you were to cut the gum tree, you're still going to have as many pine needle leaves as you had before in your gutters. So if the gutters is the problem, the gutters needs to be the solution, not trying to chop everything down just for the sake of trying to solve one problem, because you end up causing other problems. The difference with tree surgery is we look at it and we'll make these sort of determinations. We'll look at what's actually in the gutter, or we'll look at the tree type, or we'll look at how well it can be, how well this issue can be addressed. And I've spoken to different guttering companies, and there's lots of different things on the markets now that can actually prevent leaves really, really effectively. It's not the old plastic gutter guard that you have to put up yourself and it just ends up getting smelly, stinky, mouldy stuff. There's some great stuff. In fact, I've got some gutter guard on my roof. I haven't been on the roof in nearly 9 years. Anyway, I can talk about more of that later on, but that's not the issue at the moment. So lopping is when people basically come in, they don't necessarily hear what your problem is, they just hear how best they can fix it, and it's just reaching for the chainsaw. It's not effective tree work, it's not necessarily maintaining trees, it's not sustaining or understanding what trees are about. It's just simply reaching for a chainsaw. I can chop it, I've got enough testosterone to get up there. I will chop, hack. I don't care where I chop, what it looks like, how it's going to affect the tree in the future, whether I've caused future pathogen or pest problems, disease entry points, whether I've used spikes or no spikes. I mean, I've seen some shocking tree work where you can see spike marks going straight up the tree. You can see where it's done internodal pruning, which is basically just lopping. It just lopped it off at various points. That'll do, that'll reach. And then there's not even any lowering of branches down. It's just dropped it straight on the garden or the fence or carports, and so that'll protect you. And you think, oh, for God's sake, really? Then often these people, either they don't have insurance, so they can keep everything cheap. If you're happy to sign a form to sort of say, yes, I'm willing to pay for your medical bills, yes, I'm willing to pay for the neighbour's house, sure, I don't need insurance either because you're taking it all on. But you're not, and I'm not willing to do that. So I ensure that the people who I'm working with are fully insured. I ensure that the job that we're doing is fully insured. So the buildings, the fence, the cars, the houses, everything's protected. We do risk assessments. We identify what the issues are. Tree surgery is a lot more about the whole nature of the whole entire package. It's not just getting the cheapest guy in to do the cheapest job. You want a cheap job, get a cheap job, and then you have all the problems that go with it. Then you may need to call a tree surgeon to try and fix it anyway. Tree surgery is much more about trying to look at the holistic problem. So if it's a problem with leaves, trying to help people to understand, that leaves aren't a bad thing and why trees do lose their leaves, and why, maybe we need to look at why is your tree losing so many leaves in the first place. Maybe there's some other disease that's going on that's causing the tree to lose leaves. It may end up being an assessment that we decide that, look, this tree is riddled with fungus, it's got borers, it's got cockatoo damage, it's got something else, and its roots have all been chopped off by somebody to put a new pipe in. So this tree is destined to not be there anyway, and that's a determination we have to make sometimes. Tree surgery is about trying to work out what is the right thing to do for the tree. So I believe that I am a trees advocate, and then also trying to work out what is the right thing to do in order to satisfy the people who have to live with the tree. It's no use saying, that tree will never fall, because I can't guarantee that. And I'll never guarantee a tree is safe. I can guarantee a tree in Glenbrook or a tree in Katoomba is not going to land on my house in Lawson. So I don't need to think about, whether this tree is going to fall down and hurt me, but I do need to think about whether this tree is going to fall down and hurt you. So I need to make those sort of decisions. And they're hard because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know if we're going to have a tornado, we're going to have a snowstorm, I don't know if we're going to have strange uplifting winds that are going to lift every tree upside and replant it upside down. I don't know. So we have to try and work out as best we can with the knowledge that we've got and the experience that we've got to try and work out how we can best look after this tree and how best we can serve the needs of the people who are, essentially custodians, guardians of the tree. Although they mightn't believe it, most people believe that they're tree owners. And I think once we get away from that mindset that we are not tree owners, we are, people who are cohabiting with trees. The tree doesn't own us any more than we own the tree. So, it's a mindset shift. But that's a topic for another discussion.